It happens without warning. No war, no meteor, no nuclear flash on the horizon. Just silence, the kind that hums through circuits right before they die. At 9:17 a.m., the internet goes offline. Not just your Wi-Fi, not your local ISP, the entire global network. Every router, every server, every data center, from Silicon Valley to Singapore, stops responding. Billions of devices blink uselessly, and for the first few seconds, nobody notices. Part 1. The first hour. At first, it feels like a glitch. People at home curse their routers. Office workers refresh Gmail. Someone on YouTube wonders if their phone froze. IT departments flood with help tickets. Internet down, please fix ASAP. But then it spreads. Stock traders stare at frozen screens. Pilots lose their flight tracking systems. GPS navigation vanishes from dashboards. Traffic lights default to emergency mode. Security cameras loop old footage replaying yesterday's movements. By the end of the first hour, every digital service tied to the internet has flatlined. News anchors try to broadcast, but cloud-based systems are unreachable. Smart homes lock up. Self-checkout machines fail. Cash registers blink errors. Amazon's warehouses freeze mid-operation. Conveyor belts halted. Robotic arms suspended mid-air. The world hasn't ended. It's just disconnected. But deep down, everyone feels it. Something's wrong. Something big. Part 2. Day 1. The pause. By the end of the first day, confusion turns to panic. Bank apps are frozen. People rush to ATMs. But even they run on network verification. Money doesn't move. Credit cards don't swipe. The economy halts overnight. Airports delay every flight. Air traffic control systems revert to analog radios. Trains stop between cities because digital signaling fails. Even weather satellites can't transmit updates. Hospitals can't access cloud-based patient records. Doctors scramble to record dosages by memory. Ventilators, hospital elevators, and medical sensors that relied on remote servers start malfunctioning. Governments release emergency radio broadcasts. This is a temporary network disruption. Stay calm, but no one believes it. Twitter is gone. Instagram, gone. WhatsApp, Zoom, YouTube, Google, Facebook. Every platform that carried our voices, our memories, our lives, erased in an instant. Millions of people addicted to scrolling suddenly face silence. No updates, no feeds, no validation. For the first time in decades, the world feels alone. Part 3. Day 3. The fragile web. By day 3, chaos grows louder. Planes that were mid-air have landed using manual navigation. Shipping containers are stranded at ports. No digital tracking, no logistics system. Factories halt production because robotic systems can't access control servers. Supermarkets begin to run out of stock. Their inventory systems were online. Now, no one knows what's in storage or what's expired. Without digital orders, deliveries stop. Without internet maps, trucks get lost. Without online payments, even buying bread becomes complicated. The first fights break out in grocery stores, not over food, but over information. Someone says the internet will be back in 24 hours. Another says it's never coming back. No one knows. And yet, radio stations buzz again. Shortwave frequencies come alive as governments revert to pre-digital communication. It's messy, primitive, but it works. People start hoarding, not toilet paper, not sanitizer, but information. They print maps, write notes, save addresses on paper. Hackers try to connect local networks, desperate to find a signal that doesn't exist. In a few days, we've gone from the information age back to the analog era. Part 4. Week 1. The fall of convenience. By the end of the week, digital luxury collapses completely. Streaming services? Gone. Online schools? Gone. Remote work? Impossible. Corporations that once lived in the cloud vanish overnight. Whole careers disappear in silence. Marketing analysts, social media managers, cybersecurity experts. But something more sinister unfolds. Trust breaks down. Without the internet, rumor becomes truth. Word of mouth replaces news. Conspiracy theories spread faster than facts because there's no longer a place to verify anything. A man in one city claims the government shut it all down on purpose. Another says solar flares fried the satellites. Someone else whispers that AI finally pulled the plug. And there's no way to know who's right. Families start digging through old CD-ROMs, USB drives, and hard disks, desperate to find a piece of their past. People start trading data storage devices like currency, photos, songs, ebooks, relics of a vanished age. Part 5, Week 2. The Economic Meltdown. Banks have no digital records. Stock exchanges go silent. Cryptocurrency? Worthless. The global economy collapses within days. People try to withdraw cash, but reserves dry up quickly. Businesses can't pay suppliers. Factories can't verify shipments. Whole nations grind to a halt because every transaction in modern history depended on one invisible thread: the internet. Gold prices skyrocket. Paper money makes a comeback. But inflation erupts because there's no data, no trade verification, no trust. The shipping industry, global trade, and financial markets all paralyzed. Economists used to warn of a financial crash. This is different. This is a digital extinction. Part 6, Month 1. The return of the local 30 days in. Humanity begins adapting. Communities rediscover offline communication. Bulletin boards, megaphones, printed newspapers. Cities create local networks, intranets that connect nearby computers without touching the outside world. It's like the internet, but smaller, controlled, fragile. But the bigger issue isn't information, it's identity. With digital records gone, no one can prove who they are. Passports, national IDs, medical records, all stored online. Citizenship becomes a memory. Borders blur. Governments start collapsing under the weight of manual work. Voting systems, police databases, social welfare. All offline. The digital civilization we built over decades was never built to survive disconnection. Part 7, Month 2. The Collapse of Memory. The internet wasn't just convenience, it was human memory. Billions of photos, trillions of messages, whole relationships, businesses and friendships stored in the cloud. Now, gone. Families lose archives of their children's lives. Students lose research. Artists lose portfolios. Historians lose documentation. Even science falters. Research data, simulations, medical trials, all erased in an instant. We've become a species with amnesia because we never printed anything. We traded permanence for convenience, and convenience just died. Museums start collecting printed manuals, floppy disks, and USB drives, artifacts of a lost civilization. The 21st century becomes a blank spot in the timeline, a data void future generations. Part 8, Month 3. The Rise of the Analog Age from the Ashes. Something new begins. People relearn skills they forgot. Manual bookkeeping replaces spreadsheets. Cash transactions replace QR codes. Farmers sell food directly in open markets again. Radio networks form international links, slowly rebuilding global communication through analog means. It's slower, but it works. Libraries become crowded again. People talk face-to-face, share stories, and barter goods. The quiet, once terrifying, becomes familiar. The planet feels smaller, but more human. The word offline no longer means disconnection. It means alive. Part 9, Year 1. The Great Divide. A year after the internet's fall, two types of societies emerge. The rebuilders, those who use local technology, private networks, and offline software to recreate civilization in fragments. And the survivors, communities that reject digital life altogether, relying entirely on paper, radio, and word of mouth. Without the global network, humanity becomes a patchwork of disconnected civilizations, each with its own rules, its own systems, its own truth. Some nations attempt to restore satellites, but without coordination, the efforts fail. Every country now speaks its own digital language. Information becomes power again, hoarded, protected, weaponized. The new wars aren't fought with drones or code, but with radios and rumors. The world that was once united by a web is now divided by silence. Part 10, Year 2. The new maps trade routes redraw themselves. Shipping moves by radio coordination. Caravans replace cargo planes. The old internet-powered world economy is gone, replaced by barter, regional trade, and radio-based agreements. Governments begin issuing physical certificates again, of ownership, of birth, of marriage, hand-stamped and sealed. Cartographers become valuable again. Map-making is a career, because every city must now define its own world. Borders grow thicker, travel rarer. The phrase global village turns nostalgic. The Earth feels enormous again. Part 11, Year 5. The Archive Seekers. 5 years in, a new kind of explorer emerges, the archive seekers. They dig through old servers, abandoned data centers, hard drives, searching for traces of the old internet, recovering lost books, forgotten films, fragments of humanity's vanished memory. Some rebuild offline libraries from recovered data, curating what they can find. But most of it's gone. Corrupted, encrypted, unreadable. For every recovered song, 1,000 more are lost forever. The internet, once infinite, is now an archaeological site. Part 12, Year 10. The Generation Without Screens. A generation grows up that never touched the internet. They don't know what Google it means. They've never heard a notification sound. Their memories aren't stored in pixels, they're told in stories. Teachers use chalkboards again. Kids play outside, not online. They read books, not feeds. To them, the old world sounds like science fiction, a time when people worshipped glowing rectangles that told them who they were, and in some quiet way, they're happier. Part 13, Year 15. The Technological Divide. But not everyone embraces simplicity. Hidden enclaves of engineers and scientists still work to bring the internet back, rebuilding networks, restoring data centers, reviving satellites. They call themselves the Restorers. Opposing them are the isolationists who believe the internet was humanity's original sin, the thing that made people addicted, divided, and numb. The debate becomes philosophical. Should we reconnect the world, or preserve what's left of the quiet? Part 14, Year 20. The Reconnection Attempt. 20 years after the blackout, something extraordinary happens. A signal appears, weak, static-filled, but unmistakable. A fragment of the old internet flickers back to life. An ancient web server in Iceland, still powered by geothermal energy, boots up. Its data mirrors a tiny corner of the old web. Wikipedia archives, maybe a few news pages. For the first time in 2 decades, humanity glimpses its own forgotten reflection. People weep hearing their ancestors' voices in old podcasts, reading lost journals, seeing fragments of what they once were. But the connection is fragile and controversial. Many fear that bringing it back will bring the same chaos that destroyed the old world. Part 16, Century 1, The Rediscovery. 100 years later, humanity rediscovers digital communication from scratch. Not copied, but reinvented. They build a new network, cautious and limited. No ads, no endless feeds, no manipulation, just information and communication, pure, deliberate, human. It's smaller, humbler, wiser. Part 17, Century 2. The Lost Cloud. Archaeologists unearth old satellites and restore fragments of the 21st century web. Old memes, news articles, digital art, everything humans once made, reappears like ghosts. The people of the future look at us the way we looked at cave paintings, fascinated, horrified, curious. They study our screens the way we studied fossils, trying to understand how a civilization so connected could feel so alone. Part 18, Millennium 1. The Circle. 1,000 years later, the story of the Great Disconnection becomes myth. The old internet is remembered as the web of dreams. Some say it was a curse. Others say it was humanity's first attempt at collective consciousness. And maybe it was both, because for a brief moment in history, billions of minds were connected, before the silence came. Part 19. The Timeless Lesson. Civilizations rise, build, connect, and forget. Each era believes its network is eternal, until it isn't. Maybe the internet wasn't meant to last forever. Maybe it was a test to see what humanity would do when it could touch every soul at once. And when it failed, maybe that failure saved us. Part 20. The reflection centuries later, historians will speak of the internet era, a golden age of information, connection, and chaos. They'll wonder how something so powerful could vanish so quickly. And maybe they'll find an answer in our arrogance, that we believed an invisible web could never break. We stored our love, our money, our art, our memories, all in the same fragile cloud. And one day, the sky simply cleared. The internet's death didn't just unplug devices. It unplugged us. Because when connection dies, what's left is the raw, unfiltered human. Alone, but free. Silent, but real. The day the world went offline was the day humanity logged back in.